Imagine for a second that your body is a massive factory. A high-tech facility with conveyor belts, furnaces, and a power grid running non-stop. Now imagine that factory never shuts down. Not for a holiday. Not for repairs. Not even for 5 minutes to let the cleaning crew sweep the floors. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 30 years straight.
The belts
What
won't
happens?
stop!
The machines start to overheat.
Look at the
Trash
pile,
piles
it's
up in the
getting
corners. The
What are we
gears
gonna
get gummed
do?
up with sludge. Eventually, the whole system doesn't just slow down, it starts to break. This is your body on the standard American diet. You wake up, you eat breakfast. 2 hours later, a snack. Lunch. Afternoon pick-me-up. Dinner. Maybe some ice cream before bed. You are constantly in what scientists call a fed state. Your metabolic factory never gets a moment of silence. The furnaces never cool. The cleanup crew never shows up. Now, I know why you clicked on this video. You probably want to lose a few pounds. Maybe you're tired of that stubborn belly fat or the love handles that won't budge no matter how many crunches you do. And sure, we'll get to that. But here's the thing, looking at the scale is the boring part. Beneath the surface, there's a silent crisis happening inside your cells, and it has a name. Metabolic rigidity. Here's what that means. Your body has forgotten how to burn fat. You've become a sugar burner, trapped in an endless cycle of glucose spikes and crashes.
What a rush!
Every time you eat, your pancreas
I'm trying to
dumps
balance
insulin
it,
into your
but the
bloodstream to
feedback
shuttle
loop is
that sugar
broken.
into your cells.
This
And
is too
insulin?
much insulin.
It's like a
I can't
padlock on your
process
fat
it all.
stores. As long as insulin is high, your body can't touch that reserve fuel. You're stuck running on fumes, always hungry, always craving, always one missed snack away from irritability. This isn't just about carrying extra weight. This is about cellular rust, what scientists call oxidative stress. This is about your mitochondria drowning in metabolic waste. This is about aging faster than you should. But here's what most people don't know. There's a switch. A literal, biological toggle built into your DNA that's been sitting there collecting dust since you were born. Flipping it is shockingly simple, but it requires doing the one thing your brain is absolutely terrified to do. And the most critical moment? It's not day 30 of some hardcore regimen. It's not even day 7. It's exactly what happens between hour 12 and hour 16 of not eating. That narrow window is where everything changes. So let's freeze time. Let's zoom in on that very first day and see why your body initially fights you like you're trying to murder it, and why that struggle is actually the first sign that you're healing. You know that feeling when you skip breakfast and by 10 a.m., you're ready to bite someone's head off? The stomach growling so loud your coworkers can hear it. The headache creeping in behind your eyes. The brain fog that makes you forget what you walked into a room for. You feel shaky, irritable, like you need a snack just to function like a normal human being. Most people hit this wall and immediately crack open a granola bar or grab a handful of almonds. They think, my body is telling me I need food. I should listen to it. But here's what's actually happening. And this is where it gets fascinating. Your liver is essentially a fuel tank for sugar. It stores about 1,500 to 2,000 calories worth of glucose in the form of glycogen. Think of glycogen as tightly packed energy bars stacked on a shelf. When you eat, you refill that tank. When you move, think, or breathe, you pull from it. For most people who eat 3 meals a day plus snacks, that tank never fully empties. You're constantly topping it off. But when you stop eating, really stop, for more than 8 or 9 hours, that tank starts to run dry. And your body? It panics. Now, here's the metaphor that'll make this click. Your body has 2 fuel sources. Think of them like a fridge and a freezer. The fridge is your glycogen, easy access, quick energy, but limited space. You've been living your entire life eating out of the fridge. Opening it every 2 hours, grabbing something, closing it, opening it again. The freezer? That's your body fat. Tens of thousands of calories stored up, enough energy to keep you alive for weeks, maybe months. Massive reserves. But here's the problem, the freezer door is rusted shut. You haven't opened it in years. Maybe ever. And the reason it's stuck? Insulin. Every time you eat, especially carbs and sugars, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin's job is to lower your blood sugar by shoving glucose into your cells. But it has a second job that nobody talks about. It locks the freezer. As long as insulin is floating around in your bloodstream, your body cannot access stored fat. It's biochemically impossible. The padlock stays on. So when you hit hour 10 or 12 without food and the fridge is almost empty, your body doesn't calmly walk over to the freezer and open it up. No. It freaks out. It sends distress signals to your brain: we're starving. We need food now. Because it's forgotten how to open that freezer door. The discomfort you feel isn't starvation. It's metabolic friction. It's your engine sputtering and misfiring because the easy fuel is gone, but the backup system hasn't kicked in yet. Your cells are standing there confused, like a guy trying to start a car with an empty gas tank, not realizing there's a full reserve tank right next to him. Now, here's the beautiful part. This mechanism? It's ancient. It's hardwired into your DNA. Our ancestors didn't have Uber Eats. They didn't have refrigerators or vending machines. They went days without eating and still had to hunt, gather, fight, and survive. If they got weak and sluggish after missing a meal, the human race would have gone extinct 100,000 years ago. This metabolic switch, this ability to flip from sugar burning to fat burning, is a survival mechanism designed to keep you sharp, focused, and energized when food is scarce. Not to make you weak. Not to shut you down. To wake you up. But if you can white-knuckle it past that friction, usually right around the 16 to 18 hour mark, something wild happens. The insulin padlock finally breaks. The freezer door swings open. And your biology does something that feels almost supernatural. Just when logic says you should be collapsing on the couch, something strange happens. The headache fades. The brain fog lifts like someone opened a window in a stuffy room. You feel alert, focused, energized. Not jittery like you chugged 3 espressos, but calm and sharp. It's almost unsettling because it doesn't make sense. You haven't eaten in 18 hours. You should be weak. You should be foggy. But instead, you feel like you just woke up from the best sleep of your life. This is what people call the fasting high. And it's not in your head. It's biochemistry. Here's what's happening. Your body realizes the glycogen tank is empty. The fridge is bare. So it flips a switch. Your adrenal glands dump norepinephrine, adrenaline, into your bloodstream. Your body is essentially saying, okay, we don't have food? Fine. Wake up. Sharpen the senses. Dilate the pupils. Let's go hunt. This is the same hormonal surge that kept your ancestors alive. The same surge that made them faster, smarter, more alert when they needed to track down their next meal. You're not shutting down. You're firing up. But the real magic? It's happening in your liver. Right now, as insulin drops to its lowest levels in hours, maybe days, your liver is finally free to do something it's been itching to do. It starts breaking down fat, your fat, and converting it into molecules called ketones. And ketones? They're not just fuel. They're superfuel. Jet fuel for your brain. Glucose, the sugar your brain normally runs on, is messy. It burns hot, creates a lot of metabolic exhaust, and leaves behind free radicals that damage your cells. Ketones burn clean. They produce more energy per unit, generate fewer damaging byproducts, and your brain absolutely loves them. In fact, studies show that when your brain runs on ketones, cognitive performance goes up. Memory improves. Focus sharpens. It's like switching from regular gasoline to rocket fuel. But we're just getting started. Because while your liver is churning out ketones and your brain is lighting up like a Christmas tree, something else is waking up inside your cells. Something that's been asleep for a very long time. It's called autophagy. And this is where the real transformation begins. Let's break down the word. Auto means self. Phagy means eating. Self-eating. Now, before that sounds horrifying, let me paint you a picture. Imagine a fleet of microscopic recycling trucks waking up inside every single one of your cells. They've been dormant, waiting for the signal. And that signal? It's the absence of food. When you stop eating, when insulin drops and your cells stop being flooded with nutrients, these recycling trucks roar to life. They start cruising through your cellular landscape, hunting down the garbage. The broken proteins. The damaged mitochondria, those tiny power plants that produce your energy. The misfolded enzymes. The cellular junk that accumulates every single day just from being alive. But here's the kicker. They don't just throw it out. They recycle it. They break it down into raw materials and your cells use those materials to build brand new, younger, healthier cellular parts. You are literally becoming younger at a cellular level. This isn't a metaphor. This is measurable, observable, Nobel Prize-winning science. In 2016, a Japanese scientist named Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for discovering the mechanisms of autophagy. The scientific community considers this process so important to human health and longevity that they gave it the highest honor in science. This is your biological reboot. Your cells are cleaning house, upgrading their machinery, and tossing out the trash that causes aging, inflammation, and disease. And it's happening right now, somewhere between hour 16 and hour 24, while you're just not eating. Now, I'm curious. For those of you who've tried this, do you get that hunter's clarity around hour 18? That sharp, almost euphoric focus? Or do you just feel tired and miserable? Because there's actually a genetic reason for both, and your experience can tell you a lot about your metabolism. Let me know in the comments below. But here's the thing. While the idea of cellular recycling and fat burning and mental clarity sounds incredible, there's a massive fear that stops most people from trying this long term. A fear that whispers in the back of their mind every time they skip a meal. The fear that while you're burning fat and cleaning up your cells, you might also be burning up your hard-earned muscle. That your body might start cannibalizing the very tissue you've worked so hard to build. It's the question that stops everyone cold. If I don't eat, won't my body just eat my muscle for breakfast? It sounds logical, right? You need protein to maintain muscle. If you're not eating protein, your body must be pulling it from somewhere. And the only place it can get it is from your biceps, your quads, your back. So you're basically starving yourself into a weaker, friendlier version of yourself. That's the fear. That's the voice that makes people crack at hour 14 and reach for a protein shake. But here's the problem with that logic. If it were true, we wouldn't exist. Think about it. Imagine a caveman 50,000 years ago. He wakes up, there's no food. He doesn't eat for a day. According to the starvation mode myth, his muscles should start breaking down, he should get weaker, slower, less capable of hunting. So the next day, when he finally spots a deer, he's too weak to chase it. He starves. He dies. No offspring. End of genetic line. If fasting made us weak, the human race would have been eliminated by natural selection before we ever invented the wheel. But that's not what happens. And science has figured out exactly why. When you fast, your body doesn't just randomly start tearing down muscle for fuel. It's smarter than that. It has a priority system. And muscle? Muscle is precious. Muscle is survival. It's what allows you to run, fight, climb, hunt. Your body will do everything in its power to protect it. And it has a secret weapon to do exactly that. It's called human growth hormone, HGH. Here's what happens. When you stop eating for an extended period, your pituitary gland starts dumping HGH into your bloodstream. And we're not talking about a modest increase. Studies show that fasting can spike HGH levels by 1,000 to 2,000% in men, and significantly in women as well. One study had people fast for just 24 hours, and their HGH levels shot up by 2,000%. 2,000%. That's not a typo. So what does HGH do? Think of it as the bodyguard standing in front of your muscles with his arms crossed. When your body goes looking for fuel, HGH steps in and says, "Not this. Do not touch this protein. This is structural. This is essential. You want fuel? Burn the fat instead." And that's exactly what happens. Your body shifts to fat oxidation, breaking down triglycerides from your fat cells, while actively preserving lean tissue. This is a muscle preservation mechanism built into your DNA. But it gets even better. There's another molecule that spikes during fasting, and this one doesn't just protect your muscles. It protects your brain. It's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. And you can think of BDNF as Miracle-Gro for your brain. It stimulates the growth of new neurons. It strengthens the connections between existing brain cells. It protects your brain from age-related decline, from inflammation, from the slow cognitive erosion that most people just accept as getting older. Fasting doesn't just keep you sharp in the moment. It's future-proofing your mind. Studies have linked higher BDNF levels to better memory, faster learning, and a significantly lower risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. You're not just burning fat. You're not just cleaning out your cells. You're building a stronger, more resilient brain that will serve you decades from now. And there's one more benefit that nobody talks about, but once you experience it, you'll never forget it. Your gut. That bloated, uncomfortable feeling you get after meals? The sluggish digestion, the inflammation, the food coma that hits you at 2 p.m.? That disappears. Because when you're not constantly digesting food, your gut finally gets to activate something called the migrating motor complex. Think of it as a cleaning crew that sweeps through your intestines, pushing out debris, bacteria, and undigested particles. But this crew only shows up when you're not eating. If you're snacking every 2 hours, they never get to do their job. The result? Bloating, gas, inflammation, and a gut that's constantly inflamed and struggling. Fasting gives your gut the silence it needs to heal itself. And when your gut heals, inflammation drops system-wide. Your skin clears up. Your energy stabilizes. Your mood improves. Because your gut and your brain are in constant communication, and when one is inflamed, the other suffers. So we've busted the myths. We've unlocked the fat stores. We've turned on the cellular recycling crew, protected the muscles, and turbocharged the brain. But here's the real question. How does this change your life a year from now? 5 years from now? What's the end game here? Because if you think this is just another diet you do for 30 days and then go back to normal, you're missing the entire point. This isn't a diet. Diets are about restriction. Diets are about suffering through something you hate until you hit a goal, and then going right back to the habits that got you into trouble in the first place. This is something entirely different. This is about building what scientists call metabolic flexibility. And once you understand what that means, you'll never look at food the same way again. Metabolic flexibility is the ability to seamlessly switch between fuel sources. It's having a hybrid engine. You can burn sugar when it's there. You can burn fat when it's not. You can eat a slice of pizza at a birthday party, enjoy it, not feel guilty, and then the next morning your body just switches back. No crash. No headache. No 3-day carb hangover where you feel sluggish and bloated. You just flip the switch and you're back to fat-burning mode like nothing happened. This is freedom. Real freedom. Not the fake freedom of eat whatever you want whenever you want that leaves you enslaved to cravings, blood sugar swings, and the constant anxiety of where your next meal is coming from. I'm talking about the freedom of realizing that hunger is just a suggestion, not a command. That you can go 4, 6, 8 hours without eating and not just survive, but thrive. That you're not a slave to the snack cabinet or the clock on the wall telling you it's time to eat. Most people go through life as metabolic hostages. Their body only knows how to run on sugar, so they have to keep feeding it sugar every few hours or everything falls apart. They get irritable, foggy, weak. They're one missed meal away from a meltdown. But when you build metabolic flexibility, you take back control. You become the master of your biochemistry. Your body works for you, not the other way around. And here's the shift in perspective that changes everything. Fasting isn't about what you're taking away from your plate. It's about giving your body the silence it needs to heal itself. In a world where we're constantly bombarded, with food, with information, with noise, with stimulation, your cells are screaming for a break. They're begging for a moment of quiet so they can clean house, repair damage, and reset the systems that keep you alive. Every time you eat, you're asking your body to work. Digestion is work. Insulin management is work. Nutrient processing is work. Fasting is the gift of rest. And once you experience what your body can do with that rest, once you feel the mental clarity, the steady energy, the disappearance of cravings, the sense of control over your own biology, you won't want to go back. Not because you're suffering through some restrictive nightmare, but because you genuinely feel better, stronger, clearer, more alive. So here's what I want you to do. If this resonates with you, if you're tired of fighting against your own body and you're ready to work with it instead, make sure you're subscribed. Because we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more to explore: how to personalize this to your genetics, how to stack fasting with other tools for even deeper benefits, how to break through plateaus when your body adapts. And send this to that one friend who still thinks skipping breakfast is unhealthy or dangerous. The one who's been told their whole life that they need to eat 6 small meals a day to keep their metabolism going. This might just completely shift their perspective. It might change their life. Now, here's the critical part most people screw up. Breaking the fast is just as important as the fast itself. If you go 18 hours without food, flip that metabolic switch, activate autophagy, and then immediately slam a giant bowl of cereal and orange juice, you're going to spike your insulin through the roof and undo a massive chunk of that work instantly. The fat burning stops. The cellular cleanup crew goes back to sleep. You're right back where you started. You need to ease back into feeding mode strategically, with the right foods, in the right order, to keep the benefits going and extend that metabolic momentum. I've got an entire video breaking down the perfect fast breaker meal, the exact foods that keep your insulin low, your energy stable, and your fat burning alive even after you start eating again. It's right there on the screen. Watch it next. Because if you're going to do this, you might as well do it right.